Okay, so our first question is, what is your philosophy regarding strategic alliances, and specifically in your areas? Jim with regard to run, Judy with regard to live, and Will with regard to grow. And I'm supposed to pass this.
Oh, wait. Can I let Judy go first?
Sure.
Okay. Yikes. No. When I think about strategic partnerships, what I think is the most important strategic partnership is to have a good one with yourself. So for me, that's staying strong in my core so that when I'm with people, I sort of unapologetically let them know this is what I believe, this is who I am, and I'm seeking values and beliefs that are in common, and it's okay if they're not with everyone, but I know that a strategic partner will work for me if we have that basic alignment with our ways of seeing the world and what's important to us. So that's the first thing that I focus on is, am I showing up all the way, and am I seeking to understand where they are coming from on some of those issues? Who wants next?
We'll give it. There you go. Sure. I mean, we don't need to say anything else.
Yeah, that was pretty good. What she said.
What she said. That's why.
Strategic partnerships when it comes to growing your business, obviously very important. We're not a one-man show. We don't fly alone. So, having those people that you trust and that you can partner with for selfish reasons to build your own business, grow your business, build your own list from other people's lists, things of that sort as well. I think they're hugely important, and probably you can't grow your business past a certain point without them.
Well, first of all, I like the term alliance, by the way. I had to throw that in. All right. But we stick with the core, our core services. But then beyond that, we like to be the go-to person. So in doing that, you've got to be able to have other partners that can deliver services beyond what your core is. So we have as Judy had mentioned, a certain culture that we want to make sure our partners have, because they're an extension of you. And if you recommend somebody, you better make sure they do a good job because it's a reflection on you. So it's super important that they understand through communication your expectations. And you need to set that with them. And if they're unable to deliver that, then you need to find other partners that can assist you in delivering your services.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, second question. Do you have specific criteria that influences you to form that alliance? And then what steps do you take?
We'll let Will go first.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it earlier. I tend to have a list of about 10 to 12 people that I trust and that I've probably done business with in one way or another for at least a year, year and a half. You can't just start partnerships with somebody if you're not familiar with what they do, as Jim said. So yeah, I do have some certain criteria. I think it really comes down to trusting the person.
No, you.
Okay. Okay, so criteria for me are that that people that I work with want people to be people, not objects. And I'm not great at this myself. I think it's very easy for us to forget that somebody's not there just to please us or to do for us. And I know that I forget that at times. I know that sometimes I am maybe a strategic partner as a client or even just somebody I'm networking with, and I might be holding out like, do they have a target on them that says that they're a perfect target for me? And in that moment, I want to know that I'm making them into an object. And so I want to be with people that are also sensitized to, whoa, I have faith. I don't have to make anything happen. Oh my gosh, that's my own phone. Sorry. And it's on the side, thank you. And so for me, the criteria is, do they have some level of faith, even if it's not spoken, where I can just feel in their energy that there's no urgency. We had a guy that we worked with for just a couple of days. He was brilliant, but he did not have the mind of faith, where like he just was pushing so hard, it just wasn't a fit for us, even though he was brilliant in many ways. So that was kind of our criteria. No desperation is best as possible. So.
Thank you, Judy. There are 4 criteria, critical success factors within our company. They revolve around the employees, they revolve around the customer, financial responsibility, and our marketing and branding. So as we go out and look at criteria for partners, one of the paramount things that we look for is customer service. Do they approach things like we do? Are they really bent on providing the best solutions for your customers? So that is paramount as far as one of our criteria. How do they treat their own employees is another important thing we look for. And how do they match up with our own philosophy and the way we want to deliver? So we approach things not as just an IT company trying to sell services, but more of a solution-oriented company where we want to share ideas and best practices. So the partners that we choose to run with, do they have that same type of criteria?
Thank you very much. So do you take specific steps to make certain that those alliances are effective? And what steps do you take?
Well, the steps we do take is make it clear through communication that these are the criteria that we look for. And we will work with them to a certain point, but if we get negative feedback from our clients, then that, again, is a reflection on us. So we take steps to find other partners to run with that are going to believe in our direction, believe in what we're trying to do. So we do take steps and move through certain people that aren't living up to the criteria that we are wanting.
So the steps I take are the same steps that I teach to clients, which are identify your purpose and your values, and then create questions that, especially in the interview process, but really in general, create questions that allow people to speak in an open-ended way about those values. So for example, one of mine is trustworthiness. So I might say to somebody, tell me a story about when you had a problem with trust between someone and how did you handle it? That kind of thing is an open-ended question where you get to hear from them how they actually view the values that you value.
Well, that sounds good again. For me, I actually have a Google Doc that lists the name of the people that I've partnered with, along with a date next to those people. And I look at that doc all the time and see who I have not reached out to recently, and make sure that I am getting in front of that person, whether it's through email or with a meeting, or I find a meetup that they're going to be at that I can go to and physically get in front of them. That's one of the big things that I do to make sure that that list stays active. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you again. So what do you do, once again, how do you know that they're working? And is there anything specific that just kind of hits you over the head that says, wow, this is a great partnership?
Well, we look using an example of some of the partners we run with. We have a network operation of 650 people out of Pennsylvania. So we know whether they're doing their job from the analytics that we get. So we are double checking them constantly. And we know that things are working when we don't get customer complaints. So it's very important. We love feedback, whether it's good or bad, and we take the bad feedback and we analyze it as to the reasons why. So that's very important to us.
Okay, so for me, even though I have a company that focuses on relationships and I have a lot of good relationships, the way I ran my business up until recently was more independently and my temperament is such that I like to be an independent person. And so I prayed that I would create partnerships. And one of the things that I see is working is that partnerships are showing up, and I'm learning how to be really effective within them. And I think that is the answer to the question is if you see them showing up in almost kind of magical ways, you're probably doing what you need to do to attract them in. And if you're not finding that they are, just maybe work with somebody to help you see where there's something that's not in alignment completely that draws people to you. I know that's kind of woo-woo, but I really do believe that when we're at our best and we're living from the truth of who we are, people just get attracted into us, it's even just like the ones that seem the most right, and we don't even know how they found us. That's been my experience.
Mine's much more tangible, I think. It comes down to opportunities for referrals and introductions. So I think, and that goes both ways, not just personally that my strategic partners are referring people to me, but that I'm able to introduce and refer people to them as well.
Is there one partnership that you think, and you don't have to say company name or anything, that you think, oh, if I could have this partner over and over again so that we can all keep our ears open for that type of partner for you? Can you share that?
I'll let you start.
Oh, gosh. I think for me, a great partner is a person who cares about people, a person who thinks in terms of being part of a solution instead of part of a problem. For me personally, I like systems thinkers because I like people that organize a lot of information so that it's sustainable over time. That's really important to me, and I don't think a lot of people think that way. So those are the things I look for.
Yeah, I think most of mine are people that come to meetings like E4E, Jim's business development team, people that I know that are investing in their business over and over and making sure that they're the best they can be.
Well, mine is pretty simple in an answer, and that is finding a partner that does what they say they're going to do. How many times have you been out there and you've referred someone and life gets in the way and they never follow up, or you've asked someone to follow up that's running with you, that's partnering with you, working with you, that doesn't do what they say they're going to do. It's a reflection on you again, so you have to stay on top of it. So I love partnering with people that do what they say they're going to do.
Thank you very, very much. Does anybody have any questions for the panel, or?
Can any of you address just a specific strategic partnership that you have and how it has directly impacted your business and how you've been able to directly impact theirs?
That's an excellent question.
Well, I can answer that by saying we had a help desk that didn't do their job. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. And we constantly got complaints about the escalation of dealing with the issues that they had. So we actually terminated our relationship with them, and we changed out to a different, we've actually brought our help desk in-house, and we hired extra resources to address it. We are now getting statistics showing 5s across the board, 5 being the highest number, for dealing with the people calling in on little complaints. So we were really unhappy based on the feedback we were getting, and we took action to fix it. So my feeling is always, if you're not moving ahead, you're falling behind, and that was one way we could improve our operations.
I think for me, one of my mottos is to over-deliver as much as possible. So one of my strategic partners is my client that I've had for a couple of years now, and they just showed up in a huge way for me by having 15 of their people be interviewed on what they've been getting out of their workplace culture. But I attribute that to really, I really try to work at how can I give them more than they expect every time. And I think that they then in return gave me the same.
Yeah, for a specific example, I like to look for opportunities to do joint ventures. For example, I'll reach out to a partner and say, hey, do you want to do a webinar together? Which is a great way to build both of our lists. Or I have a meetup that meets every month. Do you want to come speak at one of my meetups? Something like that. Once again, it's an opportunity to kind of push them up and really promote them, but at the same time, I am building my own list from that.
Thanks. Anybody else? Can anybody want to share a great partnership that they have? Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, Bill?
I think the partnership that I have with E4E, and I'll elaborate on this in my presentation a little later on, where it's you know, we all talk about what you put out there, you get back. And I really think if you put something out there, you'll get it back. And that's really the principle behind E4E, where nobody's keeping score, nobody's worrying about, you know, did I help you or didn't, you know, we're not doing that. Yeah. We see a need, we put it out there. And so all the E4E partners, that's the basis for the group.
It's true.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thanks very much.
Okay.